Hey everybody, welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers. In our first story, a Choosing Beggar cousin shows up in town to move into our original poster's newly purchased property. That could work out, right? Let's jump right in. This happened about 15 years ago, and there is no way to tell it short, but gosh, it tells of one of the most ungrateful choosing beggars imaginable. Most of the random details I include do become germane to the story. My family is in the real estate business, and around 1967 my father bought a farm at a foreclosure sale in a Midwestern state. Winter was beginning and he saw the former owners at the sale along with about 8 children. Each parent had children. He went over and explained that he had no use for the property until spring and that they would be doing him a favor if they stayed in the house over the winter. They were very grateful. My dad started to cut the farm into tracts and people kept coming by the house asking about the land. It ends up the mother ended up selling all the tracts for my dad and was soon out looking for other farms that my dad might want to buy. She ended up working for my dad for years and helped him buy and sell quite a bit of land. He paid her 3% of gross sales plus expenses and everyone made lots of money. I visited with the family several times while growing up. Right after the mother, a wonderful woman, began working for my dad, I spent 3 weeks up north as their guest. I spent a week or two at age 14, a few days while a high school senior, and a few days while in college. One of the daughters, whom I will call Susan, our main character in the story, was about 15 years older than me, so I remember visiting with her quite a bit, but she wasn't living at home with her parents. We got along great. Years pass. I marry, have kids, and buy the house my grandparents had owned since the 1930s from my uncle. A cousin lived in a modest home behind mine, in a home that had always been in the family. When my cousin died, I bought the house for what I thought was a low price, $35,000, and fixed it up as a guest house. That's when, by strange coincidence, daughter Susan ended up in my deep south hometown, along with her 14-year-old son and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was working on a gas drilling project and he was transferred to our area. She contacted me looking for something to rent, and of course it was Old Home Week. I agreed to rent her my house for $400 per month. The boyfriend, by the way, was a really nice guy and a giant of a man. I felt like a toddler shaking his hand. I remember visiting with them and him standing slouched in a doorway, his head cocked sideways because he couldn't fit even slouching. Susan was about 45 years old. The boyfriend was in his late 20s. The 14-year-old enrolled in the local private academy, but left after a couple of weeks when he was told he had to get a haircut. He then enrolled in the public school, which is almost all black. That apparently wasn't a pleasant experience, so he soon quit going, and Susan told me she was homeschooling the boy, which required her to sign a certificate declaring that she was homeschooling. That's it. I don't think I ever received a single rent payment. At some point, Susan told me that she thought she might want to buy the house and asked if I would finance it. I finance the raw land I sell, but I am not in the house financing business. I think I told her I would take back a 20% second mortgage if it would help her get financing, fairly confident that she would not be able to get financing even on those generous terms. So then the boyfriend disappeared, and so did any hope of rent payments. Susan asked my dad if her son could get a job as an office boy after school, and my dad said sure, have him come by. She was making barely above minimum wage, and they surely needed the extra income. My dad took one look at the boy's hair and told him he would need to get a haircut before coming to work on Monday. Susan called on Monday and said her son was too busy with schoolwork to take a job, but thanks. In other words, the kid wouldn't get a haircut in order to take a job that almost every kid in town would kill to have. Because of my fondness of Susan's mother and family, I let her slide on the rent for several months. Even though delinquent on rent payments, she continued telling me that she thought she could get financing to buy the house. She also asked once or twice if I would just finance it, like I'm really going to owner finance a house to someone who is seriously delinquent on their rent. After 9 months, I wrote Susan a very kind and nice letter stating that she was simply going to have to move and expressing my sorrow over the situation. I told her I would forgive the back rent so long as the house was left in good and clean condition. I also mentioned at the end of the letter that she would probably be better off living in another community where her son would be able to go to school. This last statement, though true, apparently lit off a pack of firecrackers, and I soon received a rather nasty handwritten letter in reply, which revealed Susan to be not only a sorry beggar, but a choosing beggar as well. Among many other things, in all caps, she wrote, "I didn't want you to rent me the house. I wanted you to finance it and let me make payments." Epilogue. Susan did not leave the house neat and clean. It was totally trashed. I wrote her a hot letter telling her it took me $2,000 to clean and repair the house, and if she didn't pay me, I would be taking her to court for that and the back rent. In the end, I didn't have the heart to do that because of her mother. Bad people often win. That's why they're bad. In story 2, a choosing beggar neighbor desperately needs a bed frame. Then she realizes it isn't new. Okay, so a few months back, my mom, a 50-year-old female, got a new bed and gave me, a 24-year-old male, her old double bed. I was ecstatic because until that point, I'd only ever had a single bed. So we put the double bed in my room and my old single bed went in the garage with all the rest of the junk. Anyways, we ended up tidying the garage and had our spare lounge up against the door and the old bed against the wall, intending to make it a room for the cats with their food and litter trays and all. For context, this single bed is old and has a few holes, but it's still super sturdy and so it still does the job. So this morning, my neighbor, Choosing Beggar, sends Mom a message asking if she can take the single bed base because her daughter is sleeping on a mattress on the floor and she desperately needs a bed base. Of course, my mom says yes, but she said she'd have to wait until I got home as I was out seeing my best friend. Choosing Beggar sends her a thumbs up, this was Facebook Messenger, and Mom forgets about it. Later this evening, Choosing Beggar messages her again. "Is Blueberry Boy home yet? My daughter really needs that bed base today." Mom rings to see where I was. I tell her I'm just 20 minutes away. She tells me the situation and how I'd need to help move the lounge and everything. So I get home and we get stuck straight into it. We move the lounge, the boxes, cat food, litter trays, and finally the bed. We move the mattress under Mom's bed and pull out the base. I've got a degenerative back injury and actually pulled my back out doing all this. We messaged Choosing Beggar, explaining that the base is outside our garage and it's rather light, but she would have to come and pick it up as Mom was busy and my back was just done for. 30 minutes later, we get a message. "Oh, that's way too old. My daughter doesn't want to sleep on that. We're not going to take that." Seriously, Choosing Beggar? This base is perfectly fine, a few holes in the sides, but still perfectly sturdy. It's held my butt for over 20 years. Mom messages Choosing Beggar and explains that she was under the impression that the daughter desperately needed a mattress base. Also, that I pulled my back out getting this thing out for her. The reply? "Oh, but we thought it was in much better condition than that. It looks like it's 20 years old." That's because it is, Karen. So we've just left this base outside our garage and have arranged with another neighbor to get rid of it. Safe to say that we are just done with this Choosing Beggar. This is John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more of them, then hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.